Hi, fieldwork coordinator. Is it possible for you to meet with me at the end of the day?
Hi, Sarah. Yes, of course.
I know it's my third day of fieldwork, but I have some concerns I'd like to address with you. I've experienced some frustration while shadowing my level 2 fieldwork student, Ben. He's a very good student, but I am seeing that he's becoming overwhelmed with the speed of the clinic, which is totally understandable.
Yes, this is a very fast-paced environment.
Is there a specific reason why level 1 OT students are shadowing other students who are also learning, rather than learning from a practicing OT? Most of my OT professors explain that the only way for you to become a good OT is by physically working on your own. So, doesn't learning from other people who are still learning allows for a lot of room for error and accidentally passing down habits that aren't appropriate for the workplace? This isn't coming from a malicious place at all, but I feel like everyone's learning can improve if I were shadowing a practicing clinician rather than an OT student. It also can allow Ben to learn without having the pressure of thinking that he has to teach another student.
Have you spoken to your level 1 peers? Do they also share the same experience?
I understand that the fieldwork is set up for a certain reason, but if I'm experiencing these things, it means someone else probably has too, even if they haven't vocalized it. I did speak to my other level 1 OT students, and they've experienced varying levels of frustration from learning from other students as well. Resoundingly, they also believe that their education will be maximized by shadowing and practicing OT rather than another OT student.
Okay, I hear your concerns and they've been noted. I'll have a meeting with Ben to see how he was feeling about his fieldwork experience, and then I'll get back to you with my decision.
Thank you so much for listening. Just to reiterate, my goal for this meeting was to resolve conflicts rather than start any. I feel like this may be a good opportunity for Ben too, since he's also here for a learning experience, and this may relieve some of his stress and provide him with more room to succeed.
Of course. Thank you for finishing out your day today and expressing your concern in a timely manner so it could be handled appropriately. After speaking with Ben, he expressed that he's experienced a culmination of stresses during his fieldwork. He mentioned it as a combination of the fast-paced environment, the stress of tending to his patients safely, receiving a good grade, and most predominantly, he is feeling as if he needs to be perfect since he's being shadowed.
I'm sorry he's feeling this way. Have you come up with a solution? Since all parties are involved feel like changes to the format should be beneficial.
We are in the process of making a quick transition out of this style of fieldwork. At the moment, we are unsure if we will have you placed in a different facility, if we are going to have you continue your level 1 at a different time, or if we are able to find an OT in this facility for you to shadow. For now, come to your next fieldwork day at the end of this week, and we will give you more information on that day.
The effective communication skills that were being utilized in this alternate scenario are self-regulation skills, expressive skills, interpersonal skills, and shared decision-making. And the code of ethics that I used was fidelity.
Oh, wow. It looks like we have so much in common. Where do your children go to school?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Unfortunately, I'm not able to share personal information like the location of my kid's school with you at work. It's just a rule that my husband and I set for ourselves when I first got pregnant. He's a PT at a nearby clinic, and we came to the conclusion that since we're working with people in our own community, it's safer for our family not to disclose stuff like that. And it also has a possibility of leading to HIPAA violations, so it's for your safety as well. It has nothing to do with you.
Oh.
I love getting to know you and sharing as much information about myself as I can with my patients, as long as it keeps me out of trouble. If I run into you at a PTA meeting, of course I'll come right up to you and say hi. All right, let's get you started on some new exercises I wanted to show you. The effective communication skills that I showed for this alternative scenario was avoiding blurring professional and personal boundaries, since this is potentially harmful for the patient along with being inappropriate. And the code of ethics that I use is beneficence. Hi, Mrs. Practicing OT that I'm shadowing. I have a quick question. I was wondering, is there any particular reason why you decided to change that client's clinical process? What was inadequate about the last process, and what are the benefits of this one? I just honestly wouldn't have thought that would be beneficial to the client, but you obviously have a more expansive knowledge about this clinical process than I do. So I'm just wondering.
Oh, there's been recent research that explains that this protocol is better for the patient's long-term recovery. Even though it'll take longer, it will reduce the likelihood of them having a related problem a few decades down the line.
Oh, that's very interesting. The study fit the patient population and the cultural context that we're in currently?
Yes, now please get back to work.
And seen. So what I would do is I would change the clinical process for that day and follow her directions. But once I got home, I would look up the study that the OT mentioned to see if it really does exist and it's applicable culturally, contextually, and doesn't conflict with the patient's medical history, and if it really isn't harmful. And if it does align, I would continue to do the protocol as normal the next days I go in. But if it didn't align, I would go to my fieldwork coordinator immediately and express my concern and probably that I no longer feel comfortable working under this clinician. This still follows the chain of command and doesn't go above the OT's head or like going to her boss. And the fieldwork coordinator can remove the student from the situation and evaluate the school's future as working in the non-research based OT. The effective communication skills that I use during this scenario is having an open attitude, showing respect, developing trust, asking appropriate questions when collaborating, which is important because the healthcare team is working towards a shared goal of the patient's body and mind and interest. And the code of ethics that I would be using would be beneficence, non-malfeasance, and fidelity.